And welcome into the Sports Edge, powered by SportsHandicapper.com. Championship week in college football. We're getting to the nitty-gritty in the NFL. Golf will be restarting soon, so we'll get with Jamie in a minute here. Seal is on assignment. He did have a family situation. We're hoping to be joined by him as we head into championship week in college football. But let's start with the man, the myth, the legend, England's finest, Jam Sam. All right, first, before we get into anything, I know you like to make fun of my soccer, wizards, the U.S. men's national team, Teddy Goosevelt, etc. You had to have respect for us after that draw against your boys from bloody old England.
Why?
Because I thought we played a fantastic game. Fantastic match. We took it to you.
The reason, you played very well and England played very bad. So
right,
if England also plays good, even half decent, I think it could have been a different score.
All right, so let me ask you an honest question. Right. Honest question. First off, England's a top 5 team. U.S. is 16 in the world.
No.
They're ranked in the top 5. Let me just say this. Could it be that our offensive firepower, as well as our back third, our defense, and of course our midfield, which is one of the better midfields in the world, made you play at a lower level? Are you going to take all the credit away from us?
I've got let's whatever.
All right, thanks a lot for nothing there.
No, do you know what? It's one of those games like being a foreigner in a different country. It's like whenever we play America, it's always a bad day. Like whenever England play Costa Rica, there is no benefit of being an Englishman when they're playing America. Zero.
Well, you still haven't beaten us in the World Cup ever.
Okay, you want to go back to one game in South Africa, and then you want to go back 70 years? If that makes you feel
better. I'm just saying, you've never beaten us in the World Cup.
Dude, that's fine. I mean, Saudi Arabia are 100% against Argentina. So does that mean they're better than Argentina?
All right.
I mean, why don't we go down that path as well?
I
think it's just there's no benefit of it because you're kind of England are expected to win. And you know what? Especially in the groups, when you've already won the first game, as long as you don't lose the second, you're basically through.
Right.
Like that's the most, and that's what kind of sort of it was as though England were like not trying to lose, but America were good. I mean they've come a long way, haven't they? Since when they had the World Cup in '94.
Yeah.
And it was kind of new, and it'll be exciting to see kind of where it goes in the next 20, 30 years. But it's a process, isn't it? I mean, you can't win a football game by playing soccer. I mean, you ain't going to do that. I mean, you've got to, even though with all of your infrastructure and all of the pool of people, Brazil, Argentina, France, Germany, Spain, who I all put all against above England, are still, you could win a game against them, but if it's a game if it's a knockout game that both teams need to win, it could well be a different story. The Holland game will be real interesting, won't it?
Yeah, I wanted to get your thoughts on that because the U.S., of course, big underdog. If you bet them in regulation, plus 330. If you bet them to advance, I believe, plus 260. I mean, I look at it like this, and you made a great point. Since 94, the World Cup was here. I know it's coming back next time. The U.S. has come a long way. This is the youngest World Cup team that America's ever fielded. And you love Pulisic and you love Timothy Weah. And there's just so many great pieces from it. And Bill Coach, the coach, has been phenomenal. That being said, you look at the Dutch. They're not a powerful offensive team. Well, the U.S. I think is a better midfield, but both teams are good defensively. How do you see this game? Is there value on the U.S., at least to advance, not maybe taking the regulation line?
It's a tough one. I mean, you look at the Dutch and you think of the great Dutch teams of the past. I remember, Gullit and Van Basten's volley against the USSR in the 1988 European Championships. Then you had the Clarence Seedorf generation with Patrick Kluivert. And now Dutch football, has predominantly been a sort of, they've always produced good young players who then kind of develop their talents, overseas. Van Dijk, they've got there. I mean, to be honest with you, Memphis Depay, I don't even know if I haven't watched the Dutch play, to be honest with you, Dan. I think it's a very different situation in knockout football to group football.
Sure.
In group football, you can kind of set up with the premise at first not to lose the game. Do you think you're going to hold out against a European team for 120 minutes without them scoring? I don't know. I mean, they've scored 2 goals in the group games. Will they have enough to get through against Holland? I don't know. It'll be nice. It'll be great if they did. It would be really, and I'd love to see it. I really would, but it's a different beast, isn't it?
No, it is, and especially for a team like America that, they're ranked in the top 20, but we know the trials and tribulations, disappointments that the United States has had, this great nation when it comes to basketball and obviously football. Then
again, just as that film Miracle, it's one game.
Right.
Anything can happen in one game.
The thing is, Jamie, and you know this, the U.S. on that world stage, they're so good at so many things, but in soccer, they have not been. And it's been frustrating. Obviously, there's great soccer fans in this country. MLS has come a long way. And you had MLS players on both sides, by the way, today in that Argentina-Poland game. There's been a tremendous amount of growth, as you mentioned, since 94, where there was actually World Cup games here in Detroit in the Pontiac Silverdome on real grass, by the way. And that was when Colombia had that own goal and Escobar had the goalie killed. But that happened in Detroit or in Pontiac. But you're right, it is one game. But I just wanted to throw this out there to you. And then there's some other golf stuff I want to get into as well. If the U.S. wins, and I'm not saying they're going to, it's
against Holland.
Yeah, it'd be like a 10-point football favorite. So in pro football,
what is the line for it, Dan?
Plus 330 to regulation bet, and plus about 260 to advance. So it's like a 10-point favorite in football.
Yeah.
If they win, they would play Argentina, Australia's winner, which I think is going to be Argentina. I can't believe the Socceroos got through anyway with their big upset win over France earlier. As we recorded,
but again, I mean, that's another thing. In the group matches, Tunisia aren't beating France if it's a knockout game. It's not going to happen.
Right. But can you believe that the U.S. got to the quarters for the second time in 20 years and played Lionel Messi in his final World Cup? And so, of course, that match would have anticipation around the world, not just here in Argentina, but for soccer fans. But if they somehow won that to get to the semis, I'm not saying there's not much chance of that happening. But I'm just saying, could you imagine what that would mean for soccer in the United States if they knocked out Messi somehow after getting by Holland, which is a top 10 world club? I'm excited about the possibilities.
Well, what I heard was because I heard there was all the talk about Leo Messi going to Inter Miami, and Messi said he would only sign for Miami that if Argentina played the USA in the last 16, that USA let Argentina win. So that's the only way he's going to go to Miami. So, I mean, good luck to you. I mean, whatever rocks your boat, but that's fine. To be honest with you, I mean, Argentina, I've just watched the Argentina game right now. And
you told me you weren't watching it.
No, I just watched the Argentina game.
Oh, okay, you were watching the Mexico game.
Yeah, I was watching Argentina-Poland. I mean, it was
phenomenal.
Argentina don't look. They're not the Argentina that they used to be.
Didn't you pick them before the tournament?
I did, yeah. I
did too.
I did, and it's not. I mean, I put Brazil and France way ahead of Argentina. I mean, maybe a couple of others as well. I mean, I dread to say England because on paper,
but this would be the time that it would happen.
On paper, yeah. I mean, England look okay, but you don't play a game of football on a piece of paper, do you?
No. Let me ask you this before we move on to golf, and this is some big Tiger Woods news. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, and how they're in the middle of the season as opposed to normally when they have the World Cup over the summer. They had not played with their clubs, the top leagues, La Liga, and the EPL around the world. have you thought, because obviously I think we had 4 0-0 draws in the early part of the group stage. Have you been impressed with the quality of play? Obviously, there's been a lot of massive upsets. There's been a lot of low-scoring games, and obviously a lot of that's due to some good defense. But are you impressed so far with the fact we're having for the first time ever this November World Cup?
Do you know what? It just seems as though it's a lot of people have had to do a lot of shit to make this happen when it didn't need to. It seems that they've just made it. Having it there. It's like, okay, Dan. It's like having the Super Bowl in June. You think that's right?
I mean, no, definitely not.
What about if we have the World Series in May? Is that okay?
No, but at least they would have played for a little while.
No, but you know what I'm saying? It just messes every. And I mean, me, to be honest with you, I just saw that penalty in the Argentina game, the one that Messi missed, and I don't know how it can be a foul when the guy's not even knows that Messi's there.
Right. You know that was the second missed PK of the World Cup for one of the great players ever.
What the fuck is a PK? Is it Pick'em? PK is Pick'em, dude. Are you talking about
dude, you know that a PK is a penalty kick.
Well, just say a fucking penalty, dude. It's a penalty.
No, maybe because you're a snobby English fan, a PK is a penalty kick.
To you guys, it is. When you talk to Europeans, you say a penalty. You
Fine.
guys internally,
you also say a slobber doctrine.
You can say whatever the fuck you wish. You can call it soccer. You can call it a PK. You can call it defense. You can call it offense. You can call it whatever the fuck you want. But if you want to talk to a European or somebody who actually talks about football and has been with football for 30, 40 years.
I've still been with football for a long time,
how we use the language.
All right, sounds great.
You've already bastardized the English. You're a real C word. Don't bastardize football as well.
Jamie, you're a real C word. All right, so listen, that's what you guys love saying in England too. Let's talk about Tiger Woods, and obviously not much going on as far as selections you're going to make for December. But he pulls out of the Hero World Challenge, his tournament. He talked about playing later in December. I just wonder what your feelings are with Tiger Woods. Is it going to end up where he might just kind of retire? He might play a major here and there, but this might be it.
I mean, I think so. I mean, he'd love that one more win, wouldn't you? To get to what, 82, 83, 84 was it? I think something like that. He'd love that extra one, but and he's not going to go and play like a Puerto Rico Open to go and get it. He's going to be playing. He'd want to win it at a Torrey Pines or a proper event that he's won before. He's not going to go to a lower opposite field event just to get that record. You'd like to see it, wouldn't you? But you'd also, you don't want to see it where it gets to a point where it's like kind of like an old boxer that was great in his prime, and he's just not the same.
Muhammad Ali at the end. It was tough to watch Ali at the end.
He's struggling. You can see he's limping, he's wobbling, and you don't want to. You want to remember him for what he was, which was the greatest of all time.
No, that's a great point. As I was saying, Muhammad Ali at the end. I mean, there's been players where it's just in various sports where they just stayed too long, and I don't think Tiger Woods will ever allow it to happen.
Yeah, and again, it's nothing to do with his brain, it's nothing to do with his swing, but it's just literally can his leg get him round 6 miles, or sorry, what's that? What's that in kilometers? What's that? 8.4 kilometers or whatever you guys fucking use. Can he do 6 miles or 8.4 kilometers for 4 days running? I don't know. And that's the thing, isn't it? Especially. I mean, you saw him there when it was cold, wasn't it? Was it at the British Open?
Yeah, where Rory supposedly gave him COVID.
Cold, and he was, and you could see him on that leg, and oh my God, dude, you don't want to see him like that, But having said that, though, he's like Messi, isn't he? He's like Ronaldo. He was like a Pele. He was like a Mike Tyson, like a Muhammad Ali, like a Michael Jordan, like a Tom Brady. you wanna soak in as much as you can from them. Even if it goes on a little bit too long, which is a shame.
By the way, behind you right now, that painting is that like a robot with a soccer ball for a head?
No.
What is that?
It was an NFT that was purchased and printed out to put up on the wall.
It's very cool. I like the helmet too.
Yeah, I think it was probably bought for about 50 grand, and it's probably worth about $25 now.
Nah, listen to that. Jamie, I know you're not going to have anything on the hero and the match or anything like that, but as you get ready for the Century Tournament of Champions in January, and then we have this last year of this wraparound schedule. We'll finally have a full year in 2024 where it will just be this January to whenever, and there will be this wraparound year. What are kind of the things you're looking at and getting ready? That's obviously a smaller field over in Hawaii, and then there's the Sony Open, obviously, which I think you hit last year as well. What are the kind of things you're looking at right now? And I'm going to throw
I mean, like I said, I mean it's a process of 5-6 years of collating all results. So you've got all of the results from the last 5 or 6 years. So you've got plenty of data there. And then it's working out, well, has any of the statistical data from 2021 changed in 2022? Was this guy who was statistically very good on, longer bent grass events? Is that where his strengths still are? Has he come over and kind of made more? So it's going into the details and looking into the details. I've got all the details from 21. I've got to compare it from 22 and see where the little gems are. See where the players are. Where you've got a number of events there that are comparative events, and are these players still, looking going to be a force in these events? I mean, there's one guy there that I kind of look at, and it's always been Max Homer for the players. I mean, you look at the guys who have won at Quail Hollow there, and who have won at the Players Championship, TPC Sawgrass, and the links to that are ridiculous. So there's players who I've kind of in mind for certain events. Of course, American bookies don't want to put the lines up there for it because well, there you go, that's what it is. And you can't do parlays for the Masters to the US Masters to the players, or the players to the US Open. You can't.
Yeah, you had some great major parlays last year. You almost hit on a couple of them.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I mean, what I'll do is I'll be looking at a couple of players in each major, and we'll do sort of some 2x2 by 2x2 parlays, and try and hit a 14 parlay on the majors this year. See if FanDuel or DraftKings or whoever will take it, because nobody offshore is going to take it anyway, because they ain't got the balls for that. So.
No, they do. FanDuel and DraftKings and the apps here. I'm obviously in Michigan, and it's legal here. And there's 23 states. There's going to be, I think, 30 in the next couple of years. You can parlay, because I remember you gave them out for the Masters and the U.S. Open. You can parlay multiple majors.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And
I mean, you can get 20 to 1 into a 30 to 1 into a 50 to 1, and hey, listen, then then you're kind of off to the races, aren't you? So
yeah, you can bet $5 on something like that and win 25.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, you do $1 parlays, but you've got $31 parlays that all pay out 40 grand or whatever it may be. So
right.
I mean, there's a whole bunch of opportunities there where you don't have to put out a lot of money. But it can be real profitable for you, and at the least it's good fun. It's something it's something to dream about at night, and it's something especially when the first one comes in. If you get the winner of the Masters, then all of a sudden you really start dreaming.
Yep,
and usually it goes on with 3 missed cuts after that. But yeah, that's it. But no, I haven't had the one bet I have had, Daniel. It is Ghana plus 390, 400 to beat Uruguay on Saturday, I think that is, in that group game. Obviously, this is a game that a few years, the last World Cup, Uruguay knocked out Ghana with a handball on the line, and then Ghana went and missed the penalty. I think Ghana will be busting an absolute nut to get the Uruguayans out. And that's all you want. All you want is a motive or a reason for these players to just get an extra 10% out of themselves. To just get an extra half yard quicker to each ball. To be to be half a second quicker to everything. And I think Ghana will be. And when like you said, we've already seen plenty of upsets. Uruguay, when you see these teams and they've got Cavani and they've got Suarez up front, two older guys, the Uruguayan managers is kind of in a position. They're both at the very end of their careers, but you can't leave them out. It's like, are you Jordan Tom Brady may be old, but are you really not going to play him? Seriously? You know what I'm saying? It's like kind of, but it can drag on too long, can't it? And now you've got a team who's got a reason to really stick it into you. And I think the plus 400 on Ghana, I think you bet on plus 3/4 of a goal as well on the Asian handicap. I think that could be a decent bet on Saturday.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the African sides, Senegal obviously had a nice win earlier today, and you look at what Ghana's been able to do. Cameroon's had their moments. So I like where you're at. There's a tremendous amount of value, even just taking the to advance line, not even to worry about the regulation stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, dude, I remember Italia 90. England played Cameroon in the last 16, I think it was, and only got through 3-2. So them playing against Senegal, I'm going to bet Senegal anyway. Because Senegal to qualify, so I'll either win money or I'm happy that England are through. So I'm good either way.
All right, let me ask you about this. You've given picks throughout the year. I know that Seal's the main NFL guy, but you've had some success. I wonder, is there anything?
Yeah, well, we had. Well, do you remember? I think it was a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it, that I said about the South Florida game?
Yes,
and they were 17.5-point underdogs. And it was because the teams that fired the head coaches were 5-0, and they lost by 18 because they missed a 2-point conversion with less than a minute to go.
Yep,
unbelievable, dude. So
you were right on target. Is there anything in the NFL that you've been liking? Obviously, you field a lot of calls on this stuff, and
I was on Washington last week. I always like these games where. I haven't. I mean, I find it very interesting that the general public is always very keen to jump on teams that are winning, that are in a winning stretch. But it very rarely works the opposite, that they want to oppose teams on losing streaks. And I think Green Bay they're horrible. I mean, Aaron, I can't believe that people still continue to bet Green Bay because they're like, it's going to change. It's going to change. Dude, if it's horrible, man. So now I know Rodgers has owned Chicago.
And you obviously got to see if Justin Fields is going to play.
Yeah, but no, I don't care, to be honest with you. And then, you see these the Rams. The Denver Broncos who are the Broncos playing this week?
The Broncos are playing the Ravens, and it's 9 right now. I don't think the Broncos can score 9.
Broncos couldn't score 9, and I think with the Ravens coming off that bad loss last week. What do you think, Dan? I mean, what are you liking?
Well, I'll tell you this.
You know more about this than me.
Right, but I want to always give you an opportunity because you've made some selections this year, and they've done You've won way more than you've lost. The Commanders is an interesting game. They're 2.5-point road favorites of the Giants, who have obviously come back down to earth. That's a game with the way the Heineke's playing that I like under the key number. Listen, the Lions, they come off of 10 days of rest after almost beating the Bills. They had won 3 straight for the first time in 6 seasons before that.
Yeah.
They're getting pretty healthy. The Jaguars obviously had that great win in the end last week and that comeback against the Ravens. The Lions getting a point at home dome dog, had all the rest. Jacksonville, not the greatest team on the road. I know I'm here in Detroit. I'm not being a homer. Like the Detroit Lions are a great play. And then one other game that I've been looking at is the Texans. The Texans have completely given up. The Browns obviously have, Brissett as the starter. They've got some talent on defense.
Yeah, but hang on, is Deshaun Watson starting this week? Isn't
that's
he back
the thing.
this week?
You gotta watch monitor that situation. He's eligible to start this week, but regardless whether it's him or not, the Texans are awful, and I would buy it obviously the 6.5 because I don't want to bet on a key number. I think the Browns can win that game by 30, no matter who starts it. And Watson could actually be the worst.
I would. Do you know what, Dan? If it is any other. If you if it was any other team and any other quarterback and any other situation, and they said the Jets are starting a quarterback that hasn't started for 2 years, you're against them,
right? But not in this one.
But why not? Why wouldn't you bet that? I think the Texans can win this game and still get the first pick.
Listen, the Texans are awful.
Listen, you were saying this about Indianapolis 2 weeks ago too,
and Indianapolis is still terrible. They won one game.
Feel bad as though I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. And
you don't, but you're a good citizen. Jamie, the Houston Texans have benched Davis Mills. They got their asses destroyed last week at home. They're a bad team. It's revenge. It's all these different situations. Now you got to worry about the little rust factor if Watson does start. Maybe they won't start. Maybe they'll have Brissett start.
What's that? Was that 93.5? Is that 93.5% of the bets are on the Browns?
Yes, that's correct.
I'll take the Texans.
All right, we'll do it for me for a Monster Energy. For you, I'll buy you a bitter beer.
And I'll parlay it with the USA to beat Holland.
You can't take my Team US. You just ripped us. All right, before we get out of here, I wanted to say this. I'm not going to get anything specific, but I know you've been doing a lot of good stuff lately, and I just want to give you a lot of credit for what you're doing. What's your parting shot today? By the way, see a lot of Simon. Please check out his site at sportshandicapper.com. He's still killing it with college and pro picks.
No, listen, I saw I had to laugh the other night when I saw who was that wonderful that Alyssa Milano she gave back a Tesla and then she bought a Volkswagen. My parting shot is this: if you've got nothing good to say and you don't know what you're talking about,
amen.
There is no benefit at all. Just be quiet, because now, my God, that woman, I don't care how hot she is, I don't care what movie she's been in. What a fucking idiot.
Right.
I mean, I'm not going to say anything horrible. Just if you've got nothing to say, don't say anything at all. It's the best way. It may be boring and it may not get you any likes or it may not get you any views, but you don't look like a fucking idiot.
Fair enough, my friend. For me, I just want to say, and I'm sure you saw the great picture of me that went viral with my shirt off in the Michigan chain, to be in Columbus last weekend, one of the great days of my life, being a fan of any team, and especially the Wolverines.
Fantastic, wasn't it? Wonderful.
It was unbelievable. And I'll be in Indianapolis on Friday, or Friday but Saturday for the game. And then if they get to, I was in the playoff last year, the semis in Miami, Jamie, as you know, I will definitely be going to Los Angeles if Michigan wins their semifinal game to go to SoFi Stadium. And it makes you realize how lucky we are. We've had this pandemic. We've had all this crazy stuff going on in the world the last several years. To be able to be a fan of something you love and enjoy things with people that love that team, like you, with soccer, it really is the best.
Yes, sports, whatever sport and whatever you want to call it, and however you want to describe it, and whatever terminology you want to use, it should be completely separate and should bring people together.
It sure does.
Rather than divided.
Amen to that. Truer words have never been spoken. And to be there in Columbus with 8 to 10,000 of my closest friends, even Buckeye fans were being nice to me. This super cute girl came up, wanted a picture with me with my shirt off and the chain on. It really does bring us together. We need more of that. Even when it is divisive at times, it still can bring us together more than that. So
fantastic.
We'll see you. Jamie, great stuff as always by you. Steely, as we mentioned on Simon, will be back next week. Please check out his site at sportshandicapper.com. Jamie's at scratchcaddy.com. Myself at Squatch Picks. We got Sideburns maybe back on the show at some point when he stops hiding at Handicapper 911. But Jamie, great job for Jamie, for Seal, for all of our great folks here at SportsEdge, powered by sportshandicapper.com. Thanks so much for joining us today. We will see you next week. Until then, keep reaching for the stars, believe in the dream. Squatch for Jamie and Seal and everyone out.
Catch you later. Bye-bye.